Here we go.
This is Tampa Bay Sports Radio, 620 WDAE St. Petersburg, WVTP HD3 Clearwater, and 95.3 FM. Home of the best Bolts coverage. From here on out, you guys are a team. Busting balls and taking calls. Here's Ronnie D, a visionary, and filling in for J.P. Peterson, Jay Retter.
Good afternoon, everybody, and happy Memorial Day. We are here with you. Ronnie D off today. Jay Retcher riding solo. And, of course, Trey Downey on the other side of the glass. He's the first voice you will hear when you call in and join in on the conversation. Today, we always encourage you to be part of the conversation. You can do that through text, phone. We'll give you the numbers and all that jazz later on. A lot of good things to talk about today. We'll talk about the Rays. Nice performance yesterday, a nice comeback win. I'm going to give you some positive things about the Tampa Bay Rays. Also talking about the Stanley Cup Final. I know it's still a sore subject for many Tampa Bay fans out there, but we will talk about that as well, especially with our buddy Eric Erlinson from LightningInsider.com at 1 p.m. today. We'll be joined final two segments of the show with by Steve Carney. And we'll get his opinion on all the different topics that we talk about today, as well as a preview of the Rays game today against the Oakland Athletics. They play in Oakland today. First pitch a little bit after 4 o'clock. Our coverage starts with the inside pitch and Steve Carney at 3. Pre-game with Neil Solondz, Dave Wills, Andy Freed at 3:30. A lot of good sports news and sports talk today here on this Memorial Day. And, of course, we thank everybody that made the ultimate sacrifice for this country. So our thoughts and prayers are with those today. Like I said, a lot of good stories. And you know when it's me by myself, and I'm not by myself because I mentioned before, Trey Downey is here with me. So you know when Trey and I are here and it's just the two of us, man, we are running the full gauntlet, the full gamut of sports. We're going to try to touch on a little bit of everything. We're going to play the hits for you, of course. But we like to mix it up and kind of give you a peek behind the curtain a little bit and talk about. There were so many good things that went on this weekend, whether it's NASCAR, IndyCar, UFC, soccer, every sport. There was some really good action everywhere. So we will try to touch on a little bit of everything today. But yesterday, and last night more specifically, you look at a guy that I think he's easily not easily, but he's ridiculed by many. And he is a guy that is probably one of the more polarizing figures that we've ever seen in sports. The leader of I guess you can call him the leader of the millennial generation. This guy is the first, in my opinion, huge social media advocate and a guy that is just, he's one of the best that we've ever seen. And it's hard for a lot of people to root for him. I know myself especially because I grew up during the Jordan years and he crushed me every single year over and over again. And I'm sure there's fans in Utah and other teams in Indiana that are all feeling the same way as well. But when you look at last night and you look at what happened with LeBron James, you have to sit there in amazement and just wonder, are we seeing arguably the best player, not just of this generation, but in all of history? It's incredible just to see the things that he's done. And with LeBron, and I know there's still some people that can never get over the whole decision thing where he ended up taking his talents to South Beach. But you have to look at what this guy's done and just look at it objectively and see that, a 3-time NBA champion, a 3-time Finals MVP, 4-time MVP, 14-time NBA All-Star, 12-time All-NBA first team. I mean, this guy, this is a career that is, for the history books. This is a storybook. I mean, you look at what the performance of what happened last night, a low-scoring game against the Boston Celtics, and they have a very bright future for them ahead with Coach Brad Stevens and, guys like Jason Tatum and even a veteran guy like Al Horford really stepping up. But Cleveland, the way that they did this and the way LeBron James willed his team to victory, very, very impressive performance. But there's still people that are kind of like halfway in, halfway out when it comes to LeBron. For all the people that are saying, hey, 35 points, 15 rebounds, 9 assists in a Game 7 on the road, you'll have the other half that is saying, yeah, well, he had 8 turnovers. And then the other group that's, the pros. After losing his first 2 Game 7s, he's won 6 in a row. Yeah, and then the other people say, well, the Celtics, they're a young team, and we're without their two best players. And then you look at LeBron. He's heading to his 9th NBA Finals, including 8 in a row. But then people say, hey, well, he's only 3-5 in the finals. So it's such an interesting topic of conversation. And you look at it and you go, this guy is unselfish on the court. He makes big shots. He gets triple-doubles and 40-point games in Game 7s like it's easy. But there's still like a fan base, and there's still a section of the sports world that is just against this guy and doesn't want to see him succeed and unfairly, I think, bashes him. And trust me, I'm not trying to be a LeBron apologist. I'm just trying to look at it from both sides. I don't know if it's the whole Michael Jordan comparison thing or the fact of the cons here where, he's got a losing record in the finals and you can always seem to find a way to go against him. I mean, but you can't argue the numbers, man. 35, 15, and 9 in a Game 7 on the road. I mean, you can't argue against that.
You can't at all. And I think you mentioned you kind of wonder why the hate is there. I think the MJ thing is part of it.
Yep.
I think the fact that the decision, a lot of people just can't.
They can't get over it. Yeah.
But the thing that has impressed me so much about LeBron is I called him last night on Twitter. I called him the first one-man dynasty.
Yeah, I like that.
In the history of team sports because he's done it with so many different things. And since he came into the league, he has had all the pressure on his back, and he's one of the only guys that I can really think of. I remember when he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated as a high school
Yeah.
player. I still have that Sports Illustrated back at my parents' house, and he is the one athlete that I feel like all the hype surrounded him so early and has lived up to it and more.
I think he's exceeded expectations.
And then when you go into another Game 7 last night without your one guy that you can possibly count on as someone that can play, Kevin Love, and then your best supporting act is Jeff Green.
Yeah.
He's been a solid player, but is never going to be a number 2. It's just amazing.
Yeah, and you know what? And there's certain things that I argue against too. Is like if people are talking about, well, this is his worst cast that he's had, ever, and I'm like, nah, I don't think so. That final series where they got blown out by the Spurs in 4 games. I mean, that team, man, you look at like Boobie Gibson, Anderson Varejao. I mean, you're looking at Eric Snow. That team was much worse than the team that played the Big Z. I mean, you look at those guys. I think P.J. Brown might have been on that team, maybe a Daniel Marshall. I don't know 100%. But just watching this game and watching last night, it's and my brother brings up a good point as well too, because he's a big basketball fan as well, and he's saying like all the stuff. Listen, for the numbers, you can't argue about that. But I don't want to hear anything about the roster, about not being a good roster or anything like that. That was LeBron's choice. It was LeBron's choice to have Dwayne Wade and everybody to come in here, and it was LeBron's choice to shake this whole thing up. So if you want to talk about a lack of supporting cast, there's only one person that you can blame, that's LeBron. But you know what? He's not complaining. You get a guy like George Hill who had a great performance last night. He's a veteran point guard in this league. You mentioned Jeff Green. Great story coming back from the heart problems and the heart surgery years ago. He's always been a really good glue guy who can play multiple positions. He can score when you need him. He can defend. And you just get little contributions here and there from everybody. The best teams accentuate the strengths, whether if they be small or not. Tristan Thompson was a non-factor in the beginning of the playoffs. They found a way to get him in the game to make sure that you use his strengths, rebounding, playing, especially offensive rebounding, getting extra shots for his team. I thought that was the reason, in my opinion, why Cleveland won eventually in Game 7.
What I think, when you talk about the roster thing, I think it was a lot of LeBron's decision, but I think you kind of have to respect him a little bit for that.
For owning it, yeah.
Russell Westbrook, Steph Curry, great players. But I think if anyone wants to argue that LeBron isn't the best player in the league, I think the guy that they point to is Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
And if you look at Kevin Durant, he went and joined another team and didn't kind of own it himself, where LeBron has no problem taking it and putting it all on his own back and delivers.
It's funny. Somebody, after last year, people are like, oh, Kevin Durant's better than LeBron James. And I said, why? Because he won the finals? That doesn't make any sense. LeBron's a much better rebounder. He's a much better passer. He plays much better defense. And he doesn't, if you don't like LeBron, and trust me, I'm never going to be a huge LeBron fan, okay? I'm just reading the stats and just, hey, giving guy credit where credit is due. Okay, but one thing you can't say about LeBron is he doesn't shy away from the moment. When the lights are brightest, this guy comes up. And it's not just for his team. This guy's a 2-time gold medalist as well in Beijing and London, where everybody kind of puts their egos aside. They don't need to have the ball at the end of the game. It's a different kind of game. Coach K holds everybody to the highest standard. So at times he was the best defensive player on the team. At times he ran some point forward. When it was him running the point, and he had Dwayne Wade and Carmelo Anthony and those kind of guys. It's a different ball game. Let's go to the phone lines. John in Tampa wants to talk about LeBron. What's up, John?
How you doing, man?
What's up, buddy?
I think what it is, I think it's the LeBron fans that make people not like LeBron. Like me, last night I was cheering for him. I want to see him, go out in the Eastern Conference Finals. But at the same time, his fans just make you, make him, he just want, they make you want him to lose due to the fact like they try to put him up there as Jordan. Yes, to me, he's better than Jordan as an all-around baller. But he would never be greater than Jordan. You know what I'm saying? And I believe, like when you said, he clutched, when he don't never shy away from the moment. But that really started maybe like a good 3 or 4 years ago, because I've seen LeBron a million times shy away from the big moment with a pass here, or he just, I don't know, man. But I think it's more his fans that make people hate him, bro.
John, thank you very much for the phone call. And it's funny you say that. I went to American Social last night and watching the game, and there were so many people freaking out about LeBron. And I'm thinking to myself, these guys aren't Cleveland fans. They're LeBron fans. And for you to be a guy to like totally transcend sports, where people will follow you from Cleveland to Miami to back to Cleveland. People say a bandwagon rider or whatever, and you know what? To each their own. That's not the way that I am a fan. I like to stick with teams, regardless of who's on the team. But just watching all of these grown men last night have a cow when LeBron is finishing the Celtics at the end. It was just amazing to me how these guys were acting like little kids. But then the other thing that John brought up about shying away from the moment, I think LeBron sometimes to a fault is always trying to make the right play. And at times he has to realize that most of the time the best play is him with the ball in his hands and making the shot. I remember there was a play in Utah years ago when he dished the ball to Udonis Haslem instead of shooting it, and people were like, you got to have that killer instinct. You got to take that shot. And it's hard because we live in a comparative society. You always saw Kobe taking that shot. You never saw him passing it up. But then if you want to compare him to the one guy everybody likes to compare him in Michael Jordan did pass up that shot to Steve Kerr. He did pass up that shot to John Paxson. Are we saying that Michael Jordan doesn't have that killer instinct if Steve Kerr misses that shot or John Paxson misses that shot? We don't know. Let's go to the phone lines. This guy's definitely a Cleveland fan. He's not a bandwagon rider. What's going on, Gio?
Hey, what's up? Listen, I was one of those crazy white people who was burning LeBron James's jersey in 2000.
How dare you?
Cleveland fan first. But listen, everybody wants to argue about MJ and LeBron. Why can't we just appreciate the guy? I mean, he played all 82 games. He played 48 minutes last night. I mean, it's like watching Joe DiMaggio or Mickey Mantle or John Havlicek. He's just a great basketball player. It cracks me up when you get sucked into this argument about it. But I don't know who's better, Jordan or LeBron. All I know is LeBron's going to his 8th straight final. He'll probably leave Cleveland after this season, and I won't like him anymore. But my point is just let's appreciate the guy for being a great player and doing the things that he's been doing. I mean, quite an accomplishment to take this team to an NBA final again, but he got it done. He got it done on the road. The way he's a great basketball player. Just appreciate the guy. You don't have to compare him to everybody else. Just appreciate him. We're not going to have him much longer. So, all right, thanks for taking the call, Jake.
You got it, Gio. Thank you always for listening, man. And you know what? I've said on the show before, I'm not a huge Stephen A. Smith fan, but he brought in some great points last night after the game, saying that one thing that you really have to appreciate with LeBron is his stamina. I mean, Gio said it. He played all 82 games. He played all 48 minutes last night, and he never looks like he's tired. He's the machine. We used to call the machine La Máquina, my buddy Bo. But you're just watching the game, and we're really going to, I think, at times, whether you hate him or whether you love him, when you talk about him, he's a guy that you're going to miss him when he's gone, because there really hasn't ever been another guy like him. There's never going to be another Michael Jordan, a guy that was 6-0 in the finals, a guy that transcended the sport with his sneakers and is still making millions with that. And he was Space Jam, man. He beat a whole planet full of aliens. Michael Jordan. There'll never be another like him, but, it's fair to say there's never going to be another person like LeBron as well. Gary, hang with us. We're going to get to you after the break. When we come back, we'll give you our poll question today. That is about LeBron. And then also talk some Rays baseball. They blasted the O's 8-3 yesterday en route to winning another series from an AL opponent. I know people are still a little sour about the Span Colome trade, but there is reason for hope with this club. Why? I'll tell you next. All right, guys, it's going to wrap it up for me here. I'll be on till 3 o'clock today, 620 WDAE here locally in Tampa, 620WDAE.com/listen. Make sure you download that iHeartRadio app. We're talking LeBron, Rays, Lightning, Bucks, baseball, soccer, IndyCar, NASCAR, any sport you want, we will talk about today. So feel free. Give us a shout, toll-free anywhere in the world. It's a pretty lax day, so if you're bored and you want to call up in on the show, toll-free 888-546-4620. I'm on till 3. See you.